What's good, superstars? Back with another Omi video. You got Superstar Joe. You got Superstar Rob in the building. How's it going, Rob?
Pretty good, you?
Man. Omi to NFT. You missed the big news yesterday, so we had to have you back on. We have to do some data, some analytics to figure out how we're going to get to $1 Omi. What do we have to burn here? How much is Omi to NFT going to burn when it is implemented? But if you haven't already, don't forget, become a superstar. Smash the subscribe button down below. Hit the bell notification so you know whenever we do some analytical, mathematical number videos. We know a lot of you guys love those. You can also become a superstar VIP $2.99 a month. Hit the join button under the video. Level up through the stars. Get more entries into the giveaways. You guys can do your own math. Figure out your odds to get some great gifts every single month. Follow us on X. Follow us on Instagram. Join the Discord. Discord is where it's at. We're all talking about Omi and NFT right now on the Omi chat over there. And you guys should head over there. Join the Discord for sure.
Yeah, guys, join the Discord. That's how we run all our gifting programs. We're approaching the end of the month every single time we do that. We always do some great gifts. Make sure you guys join. We're looking forward to seeing you in the Discord.
Yep. So I want to bring up a couple things here because there's been some fun little news. We haven't done the news in a while to start off the video, so I think it's time. But the first thing here is this little one from Foster Hill, who is a ecomi community manager. We had another YouTuber, essentially crypto, saying doesn't want to poop on the news, but as a newbie, he feels like he would have to open a Coinbase account, send Omi to Base, create an account at Stacker, use Omi to buy stuff, pay a fee to licensors, pay a fee to sell, versus just buying on Omi on the veve market with a card. And then Foster comes in and says, seems like buying Omi with fiat would solve most of these problems. So you got to think that he's hinting towards being able to purchase Omi with fiat directly through either Stacker or through the app is something that they're working towards.
I'm not sure if it'll be through the app. I question now after the whole Stacker announcement and our understanding of the regulatory landscape, will we still see Omi being purchased directly through the veve app? I don't know if that's going to be the case. They've changed a lot. They've changed their minds a lot in terms of how that's going to go. But I think with regulations, maybe they may choose not to do that anymore. And maybe they'll use Stacker, a website like Stacker, to help do that. I don't know. But obviously, the easier they make it, the more accessible they make Omi, then the more use it'll be. And then maybe more people will be willing to pay the buyer's fee so they can burn more Omi. So,
I mean, we've seen that they've been separating ecomi and veve as completely separate companies. I would think if this happens, it would be through Stacker. I think they're trying to completely separate it. And I think that also helps them with that Howey test where they mentioned that utility and all these things are through a third party. So I think that might be what happens. But again, nothing official on that yet. Just some speculation based off of Foster Hilt and his post over here.
Right.
I want to pull one more thing up. It is San Diego Comic-Con coming up. I think today's preview night, and then next couple of days is going to be some fun for the veve fam. And they have announced another drop, which looks pretty good. This is the Ant-Man drop. I don't know if you've seen this. This is on Saturday, and they have a uncommon variant, which is 2,333 editions at 30 gems. And then they have the Secret Rare, which is on top of like this atom floating around. We don't know too many details about it. I don't see anything about animation on the picture, but not 100%. It looks like it should have some kind of animation, but only 98 editions on this one. So pretty slim. You're getting that chase item that a lot of people call for.
They're sticking with the chase. I think you're going to get used to this. I mean, over time, they'll have less of an impact if they do this every drop. But it's still relatively new that they're doing this. So I think it's still effective. And I mean, if you're going to pull this off and utilize this tool to sell, I think San Diego Comic-Con is a good time to actually use this tool with this chase item. And then maybe in between these big con events, you can back off a little bit.
I think that the chase has less effect when the uncommon or the more common variant looks the same in terms of skin or suit or whatever. Like when they did it with the Pixar Up, it was a completely different character. You had Kevin at 88 editions. It was like, if you want Kevin, that's the only way to get Kevin. Here, you want an Ant-Man, you can just go buy a common in the aftermarket for 30% of the drop price, and you got an Ant-Man in your collection. So I think it loses its appeal. And I really don't like the direction that they're going with this multiple variant of the same look. Like they did that in the past. It was not a fan favorite, and now we're coming back with it with the Wolverine with the 3 different poses. And then they have the same thing with, I guess it's a different color for the X-Men guy there that they're dropping. But
what I think the reason why they're doing this, yeah, Joe, I think the reason why they're doing this though is because I don't know the people buying this really care if it's a unique character or not. I think they're just interested in getting a super scarce item to flip. I think they're interested in the gambling aspect of it. That's probably why they're doing this now. Like, if you think about it, if they went separate character versus different poses, and I agree with you, I do not like the different poses, but at the same time, I'm not going for the drops. So maybe for the clientele that's currently going for the drops right now, they don't care about the different poses, and they don't care if it's different characters. They just care about the chase and that unique flip, right? So I think that's probably why they're doing this, because it meets the market demand for now.
I think they're going with the Pokemon shiny on Pokemon Go, where you click the Pokemon, you hope you get the shiny, except the difference is that is free for the most part, and you're just trying to get something, and you can't sell it over there. It's a little bit different, but people do love that over there, so it's something that hopefully they find the right fit for when it comes to veve. So again, big news yesterday, the OMI to NFT details announced. Obviously, no implementation as of yet. There's going to be beta testing upcoming. So let's hear your initial thoughts on the whole thing. You kind of talked about it already being through the Stacker app, but let's hear your initial thoughts, because I talked the whole video yesterday on it, and I think people want to hear from you too.
I mean, my first thought was that this is very surprising that they were going through Stacker instead. They said also there was a connection to Base as well. It just seemed like very, very different than I initially thought they were going to do. I mean, there was a lot of talk about the past. It was originally available, I think, in the veve app. That is gone. I think that due to the regulatory concerns, that may never come back. They may never. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but buying OMI may not be available on the veve app anymore. Maybe it's going to be done through a third party marketplace. We know it's in their terms about a third party marketplace. Perhaps that third party marketplace will offer that fiat to OMI transaction. I mean, we're all for utility. Anything they can do. I think OMI holders just want to see some kind of burning mechanisms. It's been years since they promised the OUP, and we have had zero burning mechanisms except for here on this channel, where through a giveaway you could actually burn OMI to get some tickets to win some pretty cool prizes and the Gold Dragon Club. But now with OMI NFT, at least there's some burning mechanism there. We're going to break it down. I think it's a bit confusing for people in terms of actually going through the entire mechanics, like you mentioned earlier, right? Going through the entire mechanics of getting OMI on layer 1, going to base, doing the transaction, converting it layer 2, and then going at the Stacker to do this. And it's kind of just like this. We talk about ghost tokens, it's like a ghost marketplace, right? It reminds me of ghost tokens, of getting these NFTs out of the app onto self-custodial wallets. This is just like a weird way of doing it, where you use a self-custodial wallet for your own OMI, but all this transactions happening on Immutable X where it's not your keys. It just seems like this like weird convoluted way of doing it. Maybe it would have been easier just to allow self-custodial aspects to the ghost tokens, if they can do the same model that Cryptoids did, for example, but then force a marketplace that only allows you to use OMI. Like, I don't know if that would be another option.
That they are doing that with Stacker. Like, Stacker's going to have a marketplace, but the way that it's going to work is not that you take the token out. At least that's how it seems. Like, we were speculating on this yesterday, because it looks like it's going to be something similar to what you got on veve Comics. On veve Comics, you buy the comic on that website. It appears in your veve wallet on the veve app. It looks like now you're going to be able to list on the Stacker marketplace in OMI, apparently, or it's going to do an automatic conversion to show you the OMI value of what's listed on the veve market. But I feel like it's going to be a separate listing, because if you remember when they came out with their new glossary of terms, they had that one term that said double dip, and it said if you're listing in two places, like if you're listing on veve and in the third party marketplace. So they're obviously talking about this. So I feel like that thing never leaves your veve wallet, and then it's just a representation of what's in your veve wallet. You log into Stacker using your credentials. It's reading your wallet essentially, and it's just saying like, hey, selling this at this OMI price. Once it sells, it just pulls it from your veve wallet and sends it to that veve wallet. It never comes out. It's never in your own custody. You can't transfer it. You can't do anything like that. I feel like that's how it's going to work. We, again, don't have any details on it. We have not seen it happen. We do know that there have been select few who have been given access ahead of the announcement. We know there's people who have been given data and information about this ahead of the announcement. Kind of a little bit, I'm not okay with that. But at the end of the day, they're going to do what they want to do. I think it's something that we're going to have to wait and see how it plays out. There was another bar graph yesterday. We saw that like $6 million worth of OMI was sold or transacted the day before the announcement. So obviously only those people who would have known about this would be people who are participating in that. There's no ties to anybody, obviously, probably using different types of wallets and all that to anticipate the whole thing. But we saw it in the price action. The price action of OMI went up to 0006 whatever, and now came back down under 0005 again as of the making of this video. So clear cut what was happening there on that move.
Sounds like you buy before the news and then you sell into the news. That's what it sounds like. And that's what could happen, right? In these unregulated kind of environments, people will do these kind of things. Now, I mean, that's based on the data that there was $6 million. That's hearsay for me.
We don't know if it's fact or not. Yeah. Just
what I will say back to the original question about Stacker, it makes sense. Like what they're doing with Stacker being the third-party marketplace and being the conduit for OMI to NFT, it's starting to make sense when you consider the regulatory concerns that might come with having OMI within the veve app itself. So I think that what they're doing makes sense. And now it's time for us to revisit an old spreadsheet, guys. The OMI burn spreadsheet that was made many, many months ago. It might have been over a year old at this point. Probably is. This is an old graphic that's obsolete. But I will say, what we heard today is 100% of buyer fees is going to be the current way that you can actually burn it. Now, they didn't talk about the seller fees. So this strand right here, I don't know if you can see my cursor here, Joe.
Yeah, I can see it nice.
So this is OUP peer-to-peer, and that links right here to OMI NFT. 100% of buyer fees. So at least one of these strands is now complete in allowing for a burning mechanism. So back when we made this video, I can't remember. I wish it must have been over a year, but we created this burn Excel that, since we don't know what the burn rate's going to be, it's basically a matrix that tells us if they were to burn on a CAGR, like a compounded annual growth rate, 1%, let's say, right? Yep. At a 1% growth rate, what would the amount of OMI be left? If we did it at 2%, 3%, and then this went all the way up to 21%. So this just shows you how much you can burn if you were able to achieve these burn rates. Now, predicting that burn rate is a little bit of an art, and we're going to get into that. At the bottom of the spreadsheet, too, we also have a correlation to the price. So what would the price of OMI be running through an assumed market cap of whatever you think it's going to be one day with those burn rates? So market cap divided by the number of tokens, and then you're going to get a price, right? This is how we're doing this. So, like, let's break this down. Like, where does OMI to NFT fit in this range? How much of a burn do we expect to see? Yeah. And we heard rumors that it will be roughly 2% of the price of a peer-to-peer transaction. So we all know that if you're buying or selling anything in the veve market, there are fees. Right now in the main veve app, I think it's 7.5% total when you can account for Marvel. 8.5 when you count for Marvel and veve. So the talk is that, okay, well, actually in the third-party marketplace, we'll call it, it's going to be a 2% fee coming off of OMI, and I guess the cash out will be cheaper, so maybe it will make sense for people to pay more of a fee.
But the buyer is going to be the one paying the fee, right? So they're just paying that 2% to use the OMI to buy the collectible. So I don't know if I was thinking about that because we were talking about that off camera. I think that it doesn't really affect that because you're basically paying a fee to use OMI to buy rather than using gems. So it's going to benefit people who already have OMI. And maybe people who are arbitraging the coin when it goes up or down or whatever, and they figure out efficient times to purchase.
And there's technically no true cash out fee because they're able to take that OMI somewhere else and maybe convert it to USDC, and the fees just within that exchange then apply. So understanding that's going to be 2%, we said, okay, well, at a 1% burn rate, that's about close to 3 billion there of an OMI burn at 1%, because right now there's around 272 billion in the circulating supply. So we converted that and we said, well, how much USD exactly would this be worth? And it's basically $1.3 million of USD right now with OMI's current price. So they would need to burn the equivalent of 1.3 million USD dollars in order to achieve a 1% burn rate. So you have to divide that by, like, that's 2% of a larger number. So if you just do the basic math of dividing that by 0.02, you end up at 68 million US dollars need to be transacted in the secondary market with OMI in order to achieve this burn rate of 1%. So then we have to ask ourselves, does this make sense? having $68 million total revenue of peer-to-peer transactions makes sense. Well, we need more data for that. And Joe, why don't you pull up the Stacker for that part?
So that's perfect because we know that this is all going to be happening on Stacker, and Stacker has some kind of data on their analytics tab here that you can try and make. And obviously, a lot of this has assumptions built into it, but we're trying to do our best with the data that we do have that is current, that is active. So we know on average here, if you look at this chart, this is the weekly chart of transactions on the secondary market, I believe, because it says market activity. I don't think this includes the primary market. If it does, then obviously these numbers will be a little bit lower, but let's assume that this is all secondary market sales. So we're going to be generous in that regard, and we're going to take somewhere a little bit higher than the middle, and we'll say 50,000 transactions per week is the average. Okay, so I think if you input those numbers, you times that by 52 weeks, and then let's say that we take an average sale price of 30 gems, 30 USD. I think that's pretty high. I think we're being very generous with that number because I think that a lot of these transactions are very lower priced comics that people are buying to get MCP points and do a lot of that arbitrage. Also, many things have gone down in price from the early days that are tens of thousands of editions that are going to be included in these numbers here. So being generous, obviously there's also the other end. We're going to have some higher priced items, but we expect those to be further in, not as many of those being transacted as obviously the cheaper things. So I think taking a 50,000 transactions per week number using this chart and then averaging out at around $30 USD, multiply that by each other, multiply that by 52 weeks. That's going to give you the revenue for the year. And that'll kind of give you an idea of how much revenue versus what you need for the percentage burn, if it even makes sense. So Rob, why don't you jump in here?
I want to jump in here just to put that into perspective. And I really believe we're being generous here. At 50,000 transactions per week, that's 2.6 million transactions per year. Do we think it's reasonable that we know the user base is basically 2,000 max active users, let's say per month, right? So if we're at 2,000 users, do we really believe that 2,000 users are going to be able to do 2.6 million transactions? That's 1,300 transactions per year. I'm not sure that that's the case. I have a feeling that these numbers, because not very clear, it just says transactions. We don't actually understand what this is built of all the different transactions. But let's just be generous to see where we land. So 50,000 times 52 weeks, and then times an average price. Even a 30 US average price per transaction, I think is extremely generous. I think that on the veve market, the average transaction might be lower than that. But let's just say 30. That puts us to $78 million of revenue in the peer-to-peer market, assuming all these people use OMI, right?
Yeah, everything would be OMI.
100% of the people use OMI. You will have enough to hit that 1% target, right? You'll have enough to hit that 1% target. So you will be able to burn at that rate, assuming no other burning mechanisms come in. You're going to be able to burn from 2024, 272 billion. By 2052, 205 billion. In nearer terms, let's just say by 2030, you'll go from 272 to 256. I don't obviously, if you are a person who believes that OMI to NFT is the savior to having insane burns, I'm just not buying that just yet. And I'm not exactly sure that what we said is going to grow that much more, because I think we're like really generous. Like I think these are future, like if veve does accomplish their mission to grow and be, used by like 10 times the amount of users that are there right now, I think that's more representative of that 50,000 transactions, and there's something else baked into that. But taking it at face value, we're currently at 1%. So in today's time and market, I don't think that will be enough.
Right now we have 133 million market cap.
133.
So let's use that number as the market cap just to see in today's day. Obviously, if we're going to be getting these types of transactions over a longer period of time, you would hope that they would get more transactions and more people interested in OMI, and that market cap rises. And we'll do a bull case right after this, but this is current times.
Yeah, so at 133 million market cap, assuming it stays relatively the same as time goes on, at a 1% burn rate, relying on that scarcity, you'll go from a price of 0.00048. By 2030, it'll be 0.00051. And by 2052, 0.00064. So it's relatively insignificant of price appreciation based on our analysis and based on our assumption and based on our data. This is not financial advice. This is just us coming up with assumptions and thoughts on what this is going to do. I think that at this market cap, at this number of transactions, at this burn rate, you should not be banking on this being the savior for OMI overnight. They would really need to increase the volume of transactions by a significant margin in order to make it relevant, I think, ultimately on the price if you're an OMI token holder.
So let's play around with the market cap here. Let's go to maybe 500 million, and then let's for fun do $1 billion market cap.
All right, at a $500 million market cap, the current token price would be 0.0018, which would be a great return for many people in today's market. You'd be very happy with that. At the current 1% burn rate, again, it'll bring you to 0.0024. So it doesn't really matter what that market cap is.
25 years.
The point is, after all of this time,
28.
Relying strictly on scarcity at whatever fixed market cap you could think of that it will be in the future, you really don't have that sensitivity analysis showing that these burns are going to really be that relevant at a 1% burn rate. ecomi will have to find better ways to either increase OMI to NFT volume or come up with new burning mechanisms to get this further. And we don't know the full story. So as it comes out, it'll be easier and easier to predict.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Let's give the people the $1 OMI. What at $500 million market cap, what would it take to get to $1 OMI?
Yeah, so if that's the case, you would need close to 20% of a burn rate. So at that market cap, we would need to see 20 times the amount of burning that we're going to probably see with this very generous estimate from OMI NFT. Now, when OMI NFT comes into place, the data might be available to be more accurate with our assumptions. But based on our current assumptions, which I don't think are unreasonable, there's a long way to go in terms of meaningful
So we would need
burns.
to 5x the market cap and then 20x the burn rate.
Correct.
To get to $1 OMI.
Correct. That's a great way
At
to
how long? How long though? It would be over a period of time, I believe.
That would be in 2052, right? That would be in 2052. You'd be able to get that $1 market cap.
So
that's
28 years.
Price.
28 years with 5x the market cap and 20 times the burn rate.
Correct.
That we have today. Okay.
Correct.
So let's say we get to $1 billion market cap. Let's say that veve has done a great marketing job. They get to $1 billion market cap. People are really loving Stacker. Dr. Profit gets it out there, the word out there, and it's very successful. What are we looking at here?
Well, at the current burn rate, again, not super relevant. You go from 0.003, people would be very happy with that, all the way to 0.0048, right? So a very, very small increase.
28 years.
Right. But you'll be able to hit that. You still need to really rely on burns because you now need 18% to hit that $1
in 28 years.
Right. Right.
So the burn rate is definitely significant, but to get to $1, you guys can see the amount of work that would go into achieving that. It's not just something that happens overnight. It's not just something that happens because people are saying that it might go there or it will go there or whatnot. You really got to look at all of the things that are involved in it. Obviously, this is only one burn mechanism. If OMI is able to implement multiple ways to burn OMI that are popular, that people are going to utilize, then that's going to always help. But again, even if they did 20 things that burned OMI and each one only burnt 1%, then you're still in the same boat here where you need to at least 5x and wait 28 years to get your $1 OMI. So let's stay let's keep our blinders off and then look at everything and understand what it actually would take to get to that $1.
Yeah, and I have all kinds of assumptions in here, but it's important, I think, for people to understand that, the way this stuff kind of works is pie in the sky kind of stuff. No one's going to be able to predict this stuff accurately. Everything we're telling you are based on our assumptions, based even our formulas that are built into this. Generally speaking, doing some kind of analysis will increase your odds of a decent kind of opinion versus doing no analysis at all. So I think based on kind of the sensitivity analysis, I'll call it, I just think that if anyone thinks OMI NFT is truly going to be this game changer, like kind of like you know Thanos snap, all of a sudden now there's going to be these crazy amount of burns. I just don't think that's going to be the case, and I think that they really need to grow the volume in the secondary market. And how exactly are they going to do that?
There needs to be reason. There needs to be utility. Why do people want to buy from the secondary market? They're obviously going to want to buy initially after the drop because they can buy it for 30% of the price. But that's the only thing that people might want them for beyond when they first are released. People like the IP, it comes out, they want to buy it. If you need a certain set to do certain things, or if you are rewarded for having certain things, access to different areas of the Veveverse, now we're starting to get into reasons that holding collectibles, buying collectibles in the secondary market become important. Remember that whole thing about renting? Remember all these things that all this wild speculation that ran wild without any shutdown in the past? I mean, those are the things that we need to start to see implemented on top of this, on top of everything else that's being built, in hopes of increasing the burn rate, in hopes of increasing the number of transactions, and in hopes of increasing the amount of eyeballs and bringing that market cap way up. But yeah, I mean, there's a long way to go here. This is a great start. OMI to NFT. We really hope that Stacker is able to onboard people, make it very easy to get OMI, make it very easy to use OMI. And I don't know, like I also said this yesterday, and you tell me what you think, but people don't like burning their own, like doing something for other people. They don't like being the ones, okay, I'm going to pay 2% extra to burn OMI from the supply so the price of OMI goes up. They rather let other people do that and hold on to their OMI because that's what they want to appreciate and value, right? So I feel like there's like you're pulling in at the same side, you're pulling on both sides of the string here, right?
People are only going to do that if it's cheaper to do so, if they want the VV collectible. But I want to just remind everybody, our analysis assumes 100% of the secondary peer-to-peer transactions that are currently in the market are going to happen on Stacker. We all know it's not going to happen. And they barely hit the 1%. So a more realistic burn rate, in my opinion, based on what we've seen, is more like a 0.3, 0.4% CAGR. It's really, really low. So all VV can do is just layer and layer and layer of ways you can burn OMI, and then utility of to give people a reason to burn that OMI and use those different mechanisms to burn. So I mean, this was our fun little video on kind of like the future state of burning OMI. I know Puddin Cheeks has his own spreadsheet, but he has the full story, he has the full plans. So I don't know where he's going with that. But based on what we're seeing right now, I just see community members talking about how OMI NFT is going to be this game changer. I believe, based on our current analysis, that will not be the case, and that we should not expect to see any significant changes in value of the OMI token due to the very high supply and the very low burn rate. And I'm going to just leave it at that for now. Joe, any last thoughts?
No, that's it. I think you hit the nail on the head there. We want to see a little bit more utility. We want to see reasons for people to transact in the secondary market to make this more worthwhile of a way for OMI to burn. We want to see OMI burn. We've tried to help the Gold Dragons burn OMI for the community, but I'm not convinced. Like, even if you have the OMI, like that's a lot of people are holding that OMI hopes of appreciation. They might be like, I don't care. I want to spend fiat, keep my OMI bag, let that appreciate in value. Like, why would I cut out of my bag that I'm hoping to go up, that I'm down on 95%? A lot of people are down on their OMI. So now you're telling them, use your OMI to buy collectibles. So realistically, but when you do that, you're locking in that loss, right? So like there's another dynamic there that people aren't thinking about here. So I feel like just don't be like, OMI to NFTs here, dollar OMIs around the corner. Just like put it in perspective.
Yeah. Let us know. We had plenty of assumptions in this video. We read your comments. We don't respond to all of them, but we do read your comments. Comment below if you have a different assumption than us. If anything you saw in this video today, you have a different opinion, just put it, because when we read that, we may test it next time we go into the spreadsheet. So let us know in the comments below. You can also join our Discord. If you want to talk more about this, we have the spreadsheet. You want to test a certain opinion of whatever, let us know in our Discord. Our Discord is our best place where you can reach out to us 24/7. So make sure you guys go there. Now, guys, if you haven't already, don't forget, become a superstar, smash the subscribe button, join the superstar fam, hit the bell notification button to get every single video every single day. I think I actually gave this spreadsheet to the VIPs, by the way. I think I did. Okay. So if you're a VIP, you do get access to our spreadsheet giveaways. Guys, thank you so much. Take care. See you next one. Bye-bye.
Love you.